This is Heavy at Home, the All-Australian program where we always put the spotlight on great Australian heavy music, and this album has certainly been having a flogging here on the program. We're talking about the brand new release from Dead Letter Circus. It is titled The Catalyst Fire, album number 2, and we do have drummer Luke Williams on the line to talk all about it, the future plans for the band, the massive tour they got coming up, not just in Australia, but across the world. So let's get him introduced to Heavy at Home here on andrewhaug.com. G'day, Luke. How you doing?
Good, Hoagie. How are you?
Good to talk to you. And I guess you're pretty happy now that the album is finally out. What's your thoughts on the record now that you've hopefully stood back and sort of listened to it as a listener rather than a player? Or was it still too early?
No, there's this definite sense of relief amongst the band members to finally have it out there in the world. You know, you work so long on these things, and to have it out there now into the open wide world, it feels really good. It's been getting lots of good reviews from our fans. You know, it's always I think the sophomore albums are, you know, the tough one, because you get, you know, people get to know you from the first record, so the follow up to that can sometimes be difficult and full of pressure. But our fans have really reacted well to it, so we couldn't really be any happier.
Now, also, there's 2 new members in the group too. So how much did they contribute to a lot of this new sort of material? Because I know from what I read that the band sort of has, I guess, skeleton structures of songs, and the rest of it is sort of created in the studio, sort of on the fly. Was that the same approach with these 2 new members?
Yeah, well, the first half of the record was kind of a lot different to the second half of the record. The first half was kind of a bit wishy-washy. We kind of went into the studio and we're having to write a lot in the studio and just like improvising and stuff. But the second half is kind of a lot more structured with the 2 new guys. Yeah, a lot better prepared writing-wise in our rehearsal room. So the second half we went in a lot more prepared and smashed it out a lot quicker. And those guys really stepped up and just nailed it in the studio.
Now let's talk a bit about the themes of the record. I do believe it's kind of a continuation from what was sort of covered on This Is the Warning record.
It's all written by Kim. I mean, he's a very conscious person. This is the Warning was kind of all about like kind of waking people up in a sense, you know, saying that, you know, things just don't really seem right in the world. You know, there's a lot of social injustice and a lot of economics-based sort of tyranny going on. He sort of wanted to let people know that stuff was going on. Now this record, he's kind of saying, well, now that you know about it, now that we've opened your eyes to it, what are you actually going to do about it? You know, are you going to stand up and you know, have a voice in the community, or are you just going to sit back in apathy and just let everything slide and hope that somebody else will change the things for you, you know?
Like, we know that obviously it's still a sad state that the band Haug is no longer active in the scene, but they were always very outspoken lyrically on such sort of topics that, you know, Dead Letter Circus cover. We all certainly know that a lot of people go to a show to sort of let out whatever bad day that they have. What are you hoping for with the audiences to take notice of the lyrics? Have you had much feedback from actual, you know, fans of the band that actually get where Kim's coming from, or do they think it might be preachy? Are you a little bit concerned about some of the message maybe getting lost or possibly force-fed?
No, I mean, the thing about Kim's lyrics is they're not direct. I guess he's kind of talking in parables a little bit. So, I mean, sometimes the listener, I think it's the listener can take away from it what they will. Sometimes they wouldn't. I don't even think they would take away the message that we're portraying. They might have their own sort of meaning for the song and its lyrics. I think they're always the best songs when the lyrics mean something specific to you, and it's not necessarily us trying to push this on someone. It's we're definitely I like to think the word an awake, alert bunch of guys, and I don't think we never get too preachy at shows. We never sort of like to mix that in with our shows. I know that Flynn from Cog was very outspoken live, and I saw sometimes people didn't really appreciate that at a rock show, and I think, you know, I think there's forums for that, and I think we're just not really the guys who want to, you know, meld the live music show in with that kind of message that we're trying to portray. We'd rather just let the listeners take from it what they will at home.
Now, as we know, the sort of heavy music scene in Australia, especially leaning more towards the sort of moody progressive rock, which some have probably thrown you guys in that category, is certainly just growing rapidly. I mean, there's some great up-and-coming bands, Breaking Orbit and Caligula's Horse and whatnot. Obviously, Karnivool is certainly, others would say, leading the charge. How do you find the sort of comparisons musically that you might be getting, and also do you guys see yourselves as influencers on sort of up-and-coming bands as well?
I mean, I know from the latest round of press, we've sort of, we're drawing a lot of comparisons to Karnivool. I think we always kind of have. I think this time around, especially because of the release dates being so close together, is really kind of helping people to sort of lump us in the same category, which I guess we are. Like we're the only ones kind of left from when bands like the Butterfly Effect and Haug have imploded. We're the only two guys still remaining, which sort of doesn't help things either. But I mean, you couldn't really have to be compared to a better band. I don't think. I mean, they're still one of my favourite Aussie bands. I'd have to go so far as to say I think they are my favourite Australian band. Still, just for the songs that they write. As far as the younger bands coming up underneath us, I am seeing our influence and bands like Karnivool. I'm seeing their influence on these younger bands, which is really nice to see, because I mean we've taken our influences from our heroes and put them into our music. So it's nice to see that we can actually sort of return the favour to these younger bands and hopefully inspire some more.
Now, speaking of Karnivool, have you actually had a chance to digest the new record? Because that certainly had a lot of mixed reactions from fans. And I know, were you a little bit worried about getting the same sort of deal when album number 2 was fast approaching?
I haven't had. I've only really listened to the 2 singles that they dropped, "We Are" and "The Refusal," and I really like them. I haven't got the album yet. I'm still planning to get it. I have heard the mixed reactions from fans about this record, and I think it's interesting that it's their first departure from Forrester as a producer. They've gone to Nick Dia on this one, and it's interesting. I think they're just making music that they really want to make, and I think that it's kind of a cathartic process for them, and they have to get this out of their system. And it's like I was at the live show the other night, and they're fucking on fire at the moment. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen them not be on fire, but especially right now, they're just like, they're red hot.
How do you find with the future of the band? I mean, you got to look at using another producer just like they did on album number 3, or we're sort of obviously talking too far ahead of time, but... we don't really think about... we try not to think about it too much about like the reactions that the fans are going to have. I mean, I guess maybe in the back of our minds there was a little bit, because we'd lost Rob, our original guitar player, and we were using basically a new guitar team on this release. So there was a little bit of that we could sense that people knew that the personnel had changed up in the band, and that there was going to be a bit of expectation on what the new sound was going to be like without Rob. But I think we more than delivered, and people who have heard the record have been pleasantly surprised by what this new guitar team's come up with. And it's I do put a lot of that down to Forrester, our producer, sort of being that guy to really take, because sometimes we can throw so many ideas at one song, do you know what I mean? And he's the guy who's got to listen to all of those different ideas, take them all on board, and then I guess try and figure out which ones are the best for that song. Do you know what I mean? Because you couldn't put all of the ideas that we throw out in one song. It'd just be crazy. So he's really like another filter on the stuff that gets through onto these songs. So I couldn't see the band doing a release without him. That's my personal feelings on the matter. He feels like when we're in the studio, he feels like another member of the band, Yeah. And now let's talk a bit about those tour dates. The tour kicks off at the end of this month, actually, the 29th, the first show in Adelaide. Then you're off to, well, not straight away, but you've got a bunch of shows nationally. And then after the tour wraps up around September, you're off to South Africa for a bunch of shows and some shows in the UK and Europe. So busy times ahead.
Yeah, it's fucking mental, isn't it? I'm pretty sure we're not going to see our girlfriends for about 3 months. It'll be our longest tour that we've ever done this time around. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, we're hitting, like you said, South Africa, which is a new territory for us. We've never been there. Europe we're hitting this time. We're doing 2 shows in Germany, 1 in Belgium, so we've never been there either. So we're hitting a few newbies, so it'll be interesting to see where the band's at in these places that we've never played at. You know, we went to India last year and we're just blown out by the amount of fans that we had there, like just simply due to the our presence on the internet. You know, it's just like there was about 3,000 people at the show that we did in Goa. So I mean, I guess it's possible now, not having toured these places, to go there and people still know who the band is due to things like YouTube and stuff like that.
Well, the power's here. Well, thanks again for your time, Luke, and again, all the best, and it sounds like it is a fantastic record. We can get you to choose one of your favourite tracks from the album, and even a couple last words to Aussie fans about the up-and-coming shows.
So you'd like me to pick a song?
Absolutely.
That's a tough one. I'd have to say probably my favourite song playing-wise on the record would have to be Say Your Prayers. It's kind of like the proggiest song that we've got sitting right in the middle of the album. So if you could spin that one for us.
Yep.
And this tour that we got coming up, we're going to be unveiling about 7 new songs from this record. So there's going to be a bunch of oldies. It's about half old songs and half new songs. So the people are going to get a taste of the old DLC and the new.
Good stuff. All right, well, all the best with it. Safe travels, and keep us posted on everything that's happening in the world of Dead Letter Circus. Thanks again, Luke.
Will do. Thanks, Haugie.
Let's check out some Dead Letter Circus now. This is Heavy at Home on andrewhaug.com.